The mature spiritual woman, she doesn't need to do love spells, use crystals, use potions to force somebody to love her. Her magnetism comes from her self-worth, her embodied self-worth, because she doesn't only say she's worthy, but her actions speak for itself. Her magnetism comes from the way that she pours into herself, the way that she pours into others, into what she does, into what she loves. The mature spiritual woman does not need to attach herself to anyone, and she doesn't want anyone attached to her either. She knows that this attachment and this need to control is a sign of weakness. It is a sign of not standing in your power, not standing in your worth. She doesn't need to force, because forcing means that she is out of alignment. She uses the power in her darkness to learn, to heal, to evolve, to grow, to shed versions of herself that are keeping her stuck and stagnant, to break free from old patterns, to set boundaries, to enforce limits, to walk away from what doesn't serve her and unapologetically say yes to what does. She does not need to use her darkness to manipulate, to play mind games, to prove anything to anyone, to bring anyone down, to put herself above anyone. She knows that those who are ready to receive what she has to offer will energetically be drawn to her, and they too will have what it takes to receive what she has to offer, but also provide what it takes to keep her around.
Part 2 of what you should do if you are trying to reach celebrity status in 2026 using Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power. Now, I personally do not like the 48 Laws of Power, but I will never deny that it will help you rebrand yourself and reach social capital. And if you are really trying to have like a major internal glow up, I think that these are just important laws to understand and know. First law is Law 16, which is use absence to increase respect and honor. When you are always on the scene, when you're always on social media, when you are constantly posting, you drive your value down inadvertently. I don't think a lot of people realize that, because social media and just always going out, it's just ingrained in our society right now. But when you fall back for a little bit, people start wondering where you are. You are always on the scene, when you're always available, people grow to expect you there. They know that you're going to be there. They know that you're going to post on social media. You don't become a mystery. Just like when you're dating, when you are always available, that kind of drives your value down. They know that you're always going to say yes to some basic plans that they give you. They know that. It is human nature to want something that is exclusive. When you can increase your exclusivity, people want to be around you. When Beyonce, when Rihanna, when Taylor Swift, when they just back away from the scene just for a couple of months and they really just focus on whatever they're focusing on, people start wondering where they are. And then all of a sudden they come back and they drop an album. It sells out like that, reaches the top of the charts. That's because you have increased your desire. Law 4, always say less than necessary. This might be the most important law in this video. Always saying less than necessary is so important just in daily life in general. It ensures that people will never have an upper hand over you. And at least at first, I mean, mind you, when you get into a friendship, you don't want to just, say less than necessary with your friends. But when you are first meeting someone, they don't need to know about your life. They don't need to know the ins and outs of your life. This law is also important in content creation as well. One of my friends the other day asked me, she said, I never see you upset in your comments. And I definitely have gotten upset before, and I appreciated her noticing that I'm not super emotional in my comments. I understand with 275,000 followers that brands are scanning my page on a weekly or even daily basis. And if I am a super emotional or super negative person, or I'm responding to people just trying to put them in their place, brands are going to pass over me. And because I understand the bottom line and I understand where I'm going, I'm not going to ever let some commenter have leverage over me. I can just delete their comment and block them and go on about my real life. When you can say less than necessary, you are wielding your own power.
God is teaching me so much about myself that it is literally insane, okay? I have always been the type of person that took things very personally. If someone did something to me or said something to me, I would literally run it in the ground because I felt like you didn't have that to do, or you are doing this to me on purpose. You want to purposely hurt me. And what God had to show me is that is not always the case. Sometimes in life, things happen for you, not necessarily to you. Had the situation not happened with this person, there would not have been a light shined on an area that you kept dark for so long. So he's teaching me, when you take things so personally, you take out the self-accountability part of it, because you're looking at it as you did this to me, you're putting it on the other person. Instead, you should look at it like, what is this teaching me? So situations in my life that was happening had me looking up, asking God, what are you trying to teach me? Like, why am I going through this? What is happening? And he actually began to answer me, which led me to revelations that helped free me from a lot of things.
5 ways you can strengthen and grow your relationship with Jesus this year. Number 1 is to read your Bible every single day. And what you could do to hold yourself accountable for this is to read your Bible before you go on your phone. And if you're like, I don't even really know where to start in the Bible, that is totally normal. I would recommend starting in any of the Gospels, which would be Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. So just pick one of those. So let's say you pick Matthew, just start there and read a chapter every single day. And the second thing you can do is pray. All day, every day, just be in constant prayer. You don't have to have a perfect prayer. You could just be praying, asking God things, and waiting to hear his voice. And it actually says in Matthew 6, verse 6, but when you pray, go away by yourself, shut the door behind you, and pray to your Father in private. Then your Father who sees everything will reward you. So this is just saying that it's really important to have a quiet or secret place with Jesus that you could go to and just be in prayer and be spending one-on-one time with him without distractions like your phone. So put it in a different room. The third thing you can do is to listen to worship music every single day instead of other music that you normally listen to. Worship music is just so important because what we're listening to and what our eyes see, it has an effect on you and how you speak and how you act. So I challenge you to just listen to worship music for 30 days or 21 days, because that's how long it takes to build a habit, and just write down the changes that you notice. Some of my favorite ways to listen to worship music would be in the car, obviously, before I go to sleep, and then also on prayer walks, because I just love going on prayer walks, putting on my worship music, and just talking to God. Number 4 is to go to church and find a community, get plugged into a small group, a women's ministry, just something to have community and hold you accountable and to help you strengthen your relationship with Jesus. And number 5 is to read Christian books and listen to Christian podcasts. This is just something else you can do. Obviously, you should be reading your Bible the most and spending time with Jesus that way. But if you're someone who likes to listen to podcasts or read, it's really important that you're reading things that are going to help you grow in your relationship with Jesus instead of some other random book that's just kind of not helping you grow in any way. Really love Sadie Robertson's books for young women, so just read some books like that. And then same thing with podcasts. I really love Sadie Robertson's podcast called Whoa, That's Good. And then also Girls Gone Bible is another great one. And there are just so many amazing Christian podcasts out there that these people just have so much wisdom and knowledge. So it's really nice to hear them speak and then take notes from that as well. I do just want to say, be careful with who you're listening to and certain books that you're reading. Make sure that you're reading reviews and really trusting these people that you're about to, kind of learn from in a way, and don't treat these things as your Bible. Make sure if you feel anything like weird, you're always going back to your Bible and God to get the answer. But overall, growing your relationship with the Lord is as simple as just spending more time with him. Treat it how you would treat any other relationship in your life. The only way you're going to get to know that person better is by spending more time with them, quality time, asking them questions, and just really listening to what they have to say. And also, you're only going to get closer to Jesus if you deny your flesh daily, stop living for the world, and start living for him.
True spiritual maturity is quiet, grounded, and deeply rooted, and it never needs to force itself to be seen or validated. When faith is real, it reshapes how a person carries themselves, how they speak, how they respond, and how they choose restraints over control. A transformed heart does not chase attention, manipulate outcomes, or cling to people for worth, because its strength flows from an inner alignment that is regularly nurtured in private. Time spent in silence, prayer, reflection, and honest self-examination slowly builds a steadiness that no performance can imitate. From that place, boundaries become natural, words become fewer but wiser, and reactions become measured rather than impulsive. What fills the inner life eventually shapes the outer one, whether through patience under pressure, humility in success, or gentleness in conflict. Daily habits matter, not as rituals to display devotion, but as quiet practices that cultivate clarity, discipline, and love. When the focus shifts from appearing spiritual to actually being formed inwardly, fruit begins to grow without effort or force. It shows up in self-control instead of spectacle, in peace instead of power plays, and in consistency instead of image. So slow down for a moment, look honestly at your responses and relationships, and ask yourself, what is truly growing within you? Because sooner or later, the fruit always tells the story.